This is a review of the equipment setup for the photo system. You'll receive 2 shipping cases that look exactly like what you're looking at here. Each system contains 2 8x10 printers. One case contains the 2 8x10 printers along with the laptop camera and lights necessary to run by itself. The other system will contain just 2 printers and some miscellaneous backup accessories needed to connect when you want to put 4 printers together. So first, let's review how to open up the case and set it up. Okay, this is setting up and opening up these cases. They're pretty simple. You'll probably have a lock on the bottom left and the top right of each case. Open up the case by opening up the latches. The latches will pull off. You should be able to pull the case out. And you'll note, as we pull this out, we'll have a light tripod stand that will hold the camera and the light together. So I'm going to tuck this out of the way. You don't need this anymore. And to mount the light stand is pretty simple. We're just going to loosen up the wing nut on the left side at the top here. This will fold open. Drop this down. Lock it on the nipple down to the bottom here. Lock this into place. And now we've got our light stand ready to go for the lights and everything when we're ready to go. Next thing we want to do is remove and unpack everything. So we have 2 drop trays for each printer. I'll put that on the top here for now. We have a bag of goodies here that this will contain the lights that you need to mount up top that we'll go through in a moment. We have another bag that will contain the camera. Next, we want to make sure that the computer is all in one good case. We have a wiring harness that will connect up between the camera and the flash. I'll take that out of the way for now. We have a laptop. You just have to pull down the back a little bit, it unlocks. We have a strap that allows the laptop to stay in place for shipping. You want to keep this strap, don't lose it. In the back we have a hub and all the wires already pre-connected for you. Then we have the laptop that we can open up and get ready to operate when we're ready to start. For now I'm going to put that on the side. Next thing we want to do is open up the back and get the power plugged in and ready to go. So I'm going to spin this around so you can see. Again, the back opens up the same way as the front. We'll probably have 2 locks on there that you want to remove. And this will be what the back looks like. There's not much you need to do in the back. You have a wireless MiFi hotspot from Verizon. It should just stay here. This gives us the internet connectivity. You have a backup hard drive. Your power strip down at the bottom. You'll plug this into a cord. We'd recommend probably have a good 20 amp feed to feed all these machines. So I'm going to just spin it around now. We can put the back on if we want, or we can leave it off to keep good ventilation, up to how you want to set this up. If you're going to keep the back off, or on, excuse me, then you might have to open up the side panel and leave it open. That's good for ventilation. Here we'll have an external USB cable that plugs into the second set of printers. So you have 2 other printers you can feed if you need to. And we can take the power cord and feed through here and let it come out here, and then you'll be able to plug in and put the back on. For now, I'm just going to leave the back off. I'm going to spin this back around. And we're going to go ahead and plug it in just for testing. Down at the bottom, I'm just flipping the power switch strip on and we're ready to go. If the printers are not on, the power switch is down here in the bottom right. We usually leave them on if we're just going to do everything with the power strip. And I take the packing strap, and I just tuck this down underneath so it doesn't get in the way during operation. That way we can keep it ready to go. And so far we're all ready to go. Next we want to do is put the lights in place. So we'll unzip the backpack, and we have a light This is the light reflector, and here's your light itself. You have a packing piece of plastic cover plate. You squeeze and release. Put this away for good keeping for shipping when we're ready to go. The center bulb is your modeling lamp, and the outside tube is your actual strobe itself. So we want to put first the reflector on. We have a circle up here, a cutout, and a circle on the top. You lay this down on its side, and then you simply squeeze the side and allow this to be mounted like this. Okay, now that we've got the reflector on the light, the next thing we want to do is put the light actually on top of the stand. So we have light that just simply mounts. We loosen the wing nut here so it drops on the stud at the top. The light is going to be using an umbrella, so the umbrella will be pointing towards the customer where the photo is going to be, so the light points the opposite direction. We store the umbrella down here in the bottom right hand compartment. You open up just like a regular umbrella, pretty simple, and then we're going to take this umbrella and I'm going to turn this just so you can see better, and we have to just make sure that this, let me bring this down lower for you. If you're not that tall, you want to take the umbrella and make sure it goes through the hole on the reflector and then through the hole in the back. You loosen this wing nut, give a little bit of push. It just comes out about 3 inches or so. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then tighten this down. Now we have the umbrella set. I can spin this back around, or I'm gonna lift it up first, and then we'll spin. I'll try to get this out of your way. I'm gonna put it kind of high. And then you would adjust the angle of the light with the wing nut on the top. So I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more. I'm gonna turn it this way so you can see everything. The next thing we wanna do is plug the power into the light. So we're gonna take this wiring harness, and there's 2 wires that go into the actual light itself. You have your trigger and your power cord. So the power cord is already pre-wired, so just take the power cord, plug it in. Then in the back, there's a cord that says sync. You plug that in. And now we have the camera the flash itself, we turn on by hitting the power switch here. And we have a couple of buttons in the back. One says, in modeling lamp, it says modeling lamp on and off. That's the light you're seeing on now. When I turn it off, the modeling lamp goes off. When I turn it on, the modeling lamp goes on. That is only used for focusing the picture and seeing the subject. It's not necessary to take a picture with a flash, because the flash will go off no matter what. The button to the right of that's called tracking. Tracking means basically if I have it in, the modeling light will track the power of the flash. We don't need that, so we want to leave the tracking button in the out position, and we want to put our flash to about half power. That way we have some play going up or down according to what the environment will be in the location. You can test the flash physically by hitting the red button, and the flash will go off. So it looks like I've got that set right now. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the camera. The camera uses a pistol grip. And this is what we call our pistol grip. This device here is called a super clamp. So if I squeeze this pistol grip, I can adjust it in any direction I want. So I put it on a 90 degree. I simply loosen this up, and I'm going to clamp it onto the actual pole of the light. So I'm good there. So now all I need to do is put the camera in place, and we're ready to take pictures. Or we're close to ready. We have to also put paper in the machine. So we've got the camera with the lens already mounted in our little shipping bag. We have a hot shoe adapter that allows us to pull the camera on and off quickly. We have a Nikon flash hot shoe adapter. This needs to be, make sure it's on and it's pushed into place. This is where the flash will trigger. We have a power switch that's on and off, and the button in the top that says M, AV, TV. We want it in the M position. So for now, I'm going to leave the camera off. We can take the lens cap off. Remember to do that. Lens cap should come off. We're going to slide this assembly on, but before we do it, we have to put the power adapter, and this is an AC power adapter. So I'm going to open the door. It's a little release down at the bottom here, and then we just slide this in with the wire to the outside of the camera, and there's a little notch that they've given you so you can bring the wire out and lock it in place. Simple as that. On the side of the camera, you've got a switch that looks like a USB icon. Switch, a connector, and you're going to push the connector in, and it should look something like this. The last piece that you want to connect up is the flash sync cord. This is called a PC cord, and this just pushes into the top of the Nikon hot shoe adapter. So there's 3 wires that go into the camera. So now I can just slide this forward onto the hot shoe, and we're ready to go. I can adjust up, down, tilt left or right. I'm going to move this a little out of the way so it's easy for me to move. And again, I'm going to keep the flash pointing out of the way so you can see better. So now that the camera is ready, I would go to the front of the camera. I would turn the camera to the on position. I would look through the viewfinder. I would adjust the zoom, and I'm going to turn this around. This is my zoom control, and the focus is set to autofocus AF in the lens. So let's leave the camera in the autofocus mode, and this will be a zoom to set my actual positioning of the customer. So now I'm just going to spin around, and I can zoom out. I've got what I want. I'm ready to start taking pictures now. So at this point, we're ready to take pictures. Next thing we have to do is load the paper. All the settings in the camera will be done in the software itself, so you don't have to do anything as long as you put the knob at the top to M as in manual. And we can start here, and this is a good starting point for the software to work. So next stop is let's load the paper. Okay, now we're going to load the paper. The paper itself is called the DS820 8x10 PP Media. This case holds 130 prints per roll. There's 2 rolls, so it's going to give you 268 by 10 prints, and that comes with the roll of paper plus an ink to match. Very important to remember, these are match sets when you get this. When you're ordering, make sure you realize you can only order it by a case. You cannot order individual rolls, and you cannot order paper and ink separately. Again, it's a match set. So this has been opened already, but to show you what it's going to look like, I'm going to go ahead and open up. One that's already been opened, I'm going to pull out, and you'll notice that I actually put a letter B here because it's a match set. I need to make sure that when I put paper and ribbon in, they're matched again from if I have leftover from my last event. So this is B, so I'm going to look for the roll that I labeled B in here. So we've got 2 Bs, that means a match set. The paper will be the same amount of ink and ribbon and paper together. So how do we set this all up? On the printer itself, you want to make sure that the power switch is on. If it's not, flip the switch on. Right now it's on, blinking lights telling me there's no media in the printer. There's a blue handle down below. I squeeze and pull straight out. I like to load the ribbon first, so I'm going to pull the ribbon. I'm going to set it right here or on a flat surface. Either way is okay. We're going to take out the ribbon. I'd keep this foam because it might be very useful for you later if you have to pack up if you did not use the whole ribbon by the end of an event. So at this point, oops, the directions are on the top of the printer if you need it. The supply side is the side what has the new media on it, which is the yellow hub, and the white side is the take-up side. So what I'm going to do is load the yellow first, click it in place, make sure you hear those clicks, and then I'm going to roll this over to the white side. That's what they call the take-up side, and you want to hear that click. That's very important to make sure it's falling in place. And then roll it just 1 or 2 turns if it's a new one, and that's all you need to do to get it started. Now I can grab it from the middle handle here and slowly drop it in. Don't drop it, but slide it in. Make sure it feels like it's gone in smoothly. Next step is to put the paper in. So I hit this blue lever, lift the door open, this is very important. This is your scrap tray. So if at the end of the day, when I'm done printing, I'm gonna have scraps of paper in here. You must unload and trash the scraps every time you move this equipment. So at the end of every event, you open this up and you empty this tray no matter what. Also for shipping and returning equipment or moving this around, you always take the paper and the ribbon back out, store it back in its storage, match up A to A, B to B, and make sure that you've got it all matched up for storage for shipment. Do not transport this with paper in it or the ribbon in it, or it will damage from the vibration and maybe break something inside. So I'm gonna take this, put it on the side, that scrap tray, and now I'm gonna take my roll of spindles out, and at this point I can just pull them apart. That's all we need to do. So I'm gonna set this here just for a second, and I'm gonna go pull my paper out. Now if you don't have big hands, and you wanna make it a little bit easier on yourself, I would recommend putting the paper down on the table, like that. Take one spindle, push down, make sure at least one side. Don't do it the other way around where you could crack the actual plastic on the spindle. Then take it, spin it the other way, hold it on your hand or your knee, and then take the other spindle, and these are reversible so either one will work, and push it in. Make sure there's no space. If you notice, I used a piece of tape when I was done because I'd used this already. Then I should have a little piece of tape here that is going to allow me to pull off and load this. I could taken this off before or after. Now what I'm going to do is this paper is going to roll towards the back or towards the front of the printer and then under. So I'm going to drop this in softly. Again, I say drop, place it in softly. And now this is the key. With power on, I'm going to put my hands on the paper and I'm going to push in. As I'm feeding the paper and threading it, you should wait for a beep, 2 beeps. Those 2 beeps, I'll come back and make sure you hear it again. 2 beeps. We now know that the paper is far enough in that the printer can grab this information, the paper, and pull it in and then start printing. So next step is to put the paper tray, scrap tray back in. If you don't do this, nothing's gonna work. It goes in straight down, make sure it's locked into place, and softly put the lid down, don't slam it, push it in, push on the blue button in the bottom to close it, and just hold on a little bit and push. The printer will now set up and thread. I'm gonna take one of the drop trays and put it in place. So we'll watch this happen. If I did everything right, we get 4 sheets first. This is just to prove that the machine is aligned and the paper's aligned. And then one more sheet will come out a few seconds later that goes through the entire threading mechanism and makes sure that there's no jams anywhere in the entire thread. So now the 5th one comes out and we're done. The printer's ready to start printing. At this point, all we need to do now is get ready to take pictures. Okay, now we're going to review actually the operation of the system. Remember, on the camera, you want to make sure the power switches to the on position at the top. The rotated knob at the top will be into the letter M. That's very, very important. If it's not, the flash will not work right. Make sure that all 3 wires are plugged in, the power cord, the digital data cord, and the sync cord. The camera, the flash we've already talked about is powered on, and we have it set for half power to start with. So we should be good to go. Remember, when you want to set your client up, you want to set them up dead center in the middle of your viewfinder by looking through the viewfinder and using the zoom lens in the front of the camera. That's the bigger slider, which we reviewed before. So to turn on the computer system now, all we need to do is open up the lid of the Macintosh, and it should start up by itself if it's not already on. So we're going to watch the whole process. While you're watching, I've already loaded the secondary printer, so both printers now are loaded with paper, the same process I did the first one. So I'm going to throw away the scraps. We don't need them. And wait for the printer, for the computer to start up. Okay, this is what you should see when you start it up. The first thing we're going to go review is what's in the left side. The left side of this computer screen is called the dock. So the dock has a lot of different items. Similar if you run a PC, it's simpler as a taskbar manager on a PC. The dock in a Macintosh, we have a couple of different applications. One application called the TEPS Archiver. The archiver is designed to back up at the end of the day. You'll run this at the very end of the day. You'll click up backup now. When you do that, all the images will be backed up for the end of the day onto the backup drive that's already built into the system. So for now, I'm going to quit this. This is a trackpad if you've not used it before. The next application you'll see with the globe on it is called the TEPS Uploader. When I click on this, what I should be seeing is this window right now. And right now it should say, you may not be able to read this, but it says result, done with iteration, and it's waiting for the next picture. These are for the digital files to get uploaded to the weirdaltour.phototouching.com website. You should not have to do anything in here. There's no closing of windows, just leave it open. It'll just upload automatically when you push the buttons. The next, most important thing is the TEPS Print Center. This will show you how many printers are connected to the system. Right now we only have 2. You can see them both here, the DS820. Very important to notice how much paper you have left. I have 123 sheets of paper left on each one of these machines. So that lets me know what I'm starting with from the beginning of the day. You want to note that before you get started in case you need more media to load in during the event. This is just the serial numbers and obviously the status. They're both idle waiting for jobs right now. Again, you don't do anything here. You just use this for status. It's like a print center in any system, but our software will automatically bounce from one printer to the next. The next process is called the TEPS Processor. The TEPS Processor's job is the main rendering engine. It's going to take the pictures, render them to the size that you wanted, and send them to the print center. Again, this just sits in the idle mode. If you notice, it says status idling, waiting for a new job. If you were to hit pause by accident, all the jobs would get stuck here and nothing would come out. So you always want to make sure it doesn't say paused, but when I click on resume down below, it says status idling, waiting for new job. Again, you don't do anything, you don't close the window, just leave it alone. The next step in the application is called the TEPSX Tri-Prism software. This is the GUI, this is what's going to take the pictures and you'll be able to see them and then hit print. So we have 4 buttons here. Quit, which is obviously if I want to quit the program, relaunch. If I were to, for example, have a problem with the camera, I might have to quit entirely out of this, click yes, and then run it again, and then make sure the camera was turned on. At this point now, all I need to do is hit start sitting. Start sitting means I'm starting a new session for the day. Preview means file open, taking pictures that I want to open up from a previous day or a previous time. So right now we're going to hit the start sitting button. If the camera's turned on, it should go straight into an operation window. And it immediately comes up with a ID number that's automatically put in there for you. You don't change that number, you just click return or you can click OK. And now we're ready to start taking pictures. There should be nothing at the top. Now I just got to take a picture. So I can either take a picture from the trigger in the front of the camera. So I'm going to go trigger, push halfway down. You can hear the beep, which means the autofocus is locked. I'm using just something on the blackboard here I have with my wife. I'm going to take a picture and we have a photograph now of what I want. I've put a mask on here to show where a 5x7 will be cropped versus an 8x10. If you're going to do packaging, then we need to make sure that the picture falls inside the yellow area so you cannot crop out something on the outside of the yellow area for 5x7 or wallets. If you're not doing 5x7 or wallets, then you do not have to worry about this yellow line. It will not get printed. It just tells you where the cutout will happen. Now, if you notice, I have the camera right now in the landscape mode. That's the way operations in your business wants to be keeping it just for physical reasons. But that means there's a lot more information in the left and right that you don't see. So when you're taking a picture with the camera, you want to make sure that the photograph, if I show you the actual original photograph, you can see from left to right how much more of the picture that I've thrown away. We could rotate the camera, but it makes it a little more difficult for you to operate, but they want to give the customer a portrait photo. So we're going to leave it this way. You can click cancel here and the window goes back down. So we're going to leave it this way. We're going to crop out the information on the outside. If I need to move the picture around, I can simply click on the zoom slider here. Whoops, I clicked out of that by accident, sorry. I'm going to come back here again and click OK, hit start sitting again. I'm going to go take another picture. Sorry, I pushed the wrong button. If I need to move this picture around and zoom it, I can put my mouse over here and slide it around. And that, now notice if I zoom out too far, I'm going to have white space in the top and the bottom. We don't want that. That's what your customer would get in their print. So if I want to get back to the beginning, I click reset to 0 down bottom here in the toolbar. That fills the screen and basically resizes to fit. And then I can zoom in if I need to. And then I can move the picture left or right. And I can also use my arrow up key, my arrow down, my left and my right if I need to just do small touch up, or my minus key to zoom out, or if I hold the shift key, my plus key to zoom in. So I have all the capability of doing any of the above. If I like the photograph, then all I need to do is hit either a la carte. I can hit an 8x10, a 5x7, 8 wallets, one at a time, or digital upload, or I have it all combined into one button and we can packagize it. So if I hit full package, I'm going to say I want a quantity 1, a full package, and right now all the jobs are getting sent, and now I can now take my next customer. So what I just did is clicked on the processor to let you watch the jobs come through. And if I wanted to look in the print center, I could see that the jobs have already been sent. So the printers already have all the pictures. So I click, again, when I want to navigate, I click on the icons on the left. I always want to bring TEPS-X back to the front. And then I would take my next customer's picture. To do that, I hold down the Apple and I hit the number 1. That will start the new customer. Apple 1, hit OK. Take a picture on the camera. Or if I want, I can also take a picture by using the keyboard on the computer by doing Apple R's and Robert. Apple R, that means release, and I can take another picture. I can drag down the picture that I like better. I load it up. This one I'm going to leave, and I just want to do a 8x10, and I'm just going to click OK, and then I've done an 8x10. I can continue to do this while I'm sending my prints, and the customer's prints will be coming out queued up in the print center. So if I look right now, I should have 2 5x7s. I have a sheet of wallets, and I have an 8x10. Now what we've done right now is we've put an ID number down at the bottom of the 8x10. This ID number is the actual customer's ID. If they go to WeirdAl.com, and there'll be a button there that they're going to click on the website that says see your picture here. It'll come to our site, and it'll come to a site that will look like this. Let me pull up our browser here just to show you. And when the customer puts this code in, I'm going to read it out loud, and you can see this, Y5G 65W STY 4X TUUGL, and I hit return. And if it was updated to the website and the Verizon modem was working, here's the picture that the customer can now see. They can click on the picture to blow it up, and there's my photograph. I can hit enter to bring it back down, or just click on the window to bring it back down. I can share it with my friends on Facebook page. I can tweet it. I can put it on Pinterest. I can email it to a friend, or I can download it to my computer for my own personal usage. That's about it for the social networking. That's how it's going to work all the way back and in. So let's go back to the TEPS. So for this point, all I need to keep on remembering is Apple 1 for next customer, hit return, take my picture. If I like the photograph, all I do is hit either full package or a la carte, which one of the buttons I want to use. Zooming is down here on the right. I'd recommend not playing with the colors. As far as adjusting exposure of the camera, we have a setup here which is called Canon Camera that you can click and open the camera control. And here, do not change the daylight setting, leaving that to set for the external flash. The aperture is the only thing that I would recommend playing with. The bigger the number, the darker the picture. The smaller the number, the brighter the picture. So if I wanted to brighten this up a little bit, I'm going to make it a lot. I'm going to put it to 14. I'm going to click, if I click set as default, this will be remembered for the next picture. And then click OK. Now if I take a picture, it should be brighter. And there you go, we have a brighter picture now. So that's how you'll set up exposure. You always want to take a picture, do a test print, make sure everything's working before you start your event so you don't run into any trouble. If you want to make sure the images got uploaded digitally, click on the globe and you should see in the corner the thumbnail of the last photograph that was taken. If you see that, then you know that everything's been uploaded. So now I'm ready to finish the day. I've done all my pictures. My prints have been coming out. The next thing I want to do at the end of the day before I shut down is I want to click on the TEPS Archiver. And I want to click the button that says Backup Now. And you'll see a little spinning wheel. There was not much there, so it backed up very rapidly. So that could take maybe a minute or 2 minutes. But the idea is to have a backup in the hard drive in case something would have failed in the internal drive and you lost the pictures. But every time you take a picture and you hit print, we're going to be sending up a digital upload if you use the package. Now to shut down, we can go ahead and click quit here for the archiver. I should be able to just simply go to the Apple icon and select shut down and follow the instructions. Shut down, it says, do you really want to shut down? I would say yes. Do I really want to quit the print center? I would say yes if the prints are all done. And that's it. Everything's shut down. I would close my lid and now pack everything up in reverse the same way I unpacked everything. Okay, now that we've shut down the Macintosh, we want to shut down the entire system as soon as possible after we know everything's been uploaded and backed up, because we want to get this light turned off. So you can either turn the light off from the back of the power switch or just shut the whole system down by shutting down the power strip in the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. We want to give this light a chance to cool down because you do not want to put that plastic shipping cover on there or it will melt. So do that last. So the next thing I'd want to do is get the printers ready to be shipped. So I'm going to take the paper trays out first. And very important is to make sure that we open the printers, take out the ribbon, and the most important part here is we have our scraps. We want to make sure we take these scraps out and throw them away, because if these get caught back in the machine, you're not going to use this printer. It'll go to a technician and have to be repaired. So next thing is we want to do is remove the paper, whatever paper is left in the printer at the end of the event. And we want to pack it up the same way we loaded it up. So I'm going to take it out slowly, pulling straight back. And I would recommend having Scotch tape. We already put scissors in your case, get some Scotch tape. And before I pack all this up, I'm going to take a piece of tape, put a little fold at the end so I've got a little pull tab. And I'm going to, I hope, tape this so it doesn't unwind on me as I'm packing up. Then pull each reel out, spindle. Put it back in the bag. If this is going to be letter A, then I want to make sure that my ribbon is also in letter A. So I'm going to do this one. So I've got A on this one. I put it back in the box. Okay, now that I'm going to take the ribbon out, I can fold the door open here and use this as my table. I'm going to pop the supply side out, or actually the take-up side, pop out the supply side, hold it together, and then pack it up into my styrofoam or Ziploc bag, whatever you want to use to keep it protected. And again, this one was labeled A, so I've got a match set. So important to keep a match set. If the printer comes to the end of ribbon, whatever paper's left in the machine, you throw it away, because you will always have more paper than ribbon. The ribbon only prints 130 prints, not more, not less. Okay, after I put the paper away and stored it for shipment, I'm going to just drop my empty tray back inside the machine, the ribbon tray, open this up, put my spindles back together, drop them back into the actual tray, and then put my scrap tray back in place. Close the door softly, hold the handle, and close. There we go. Now the last thing we want to do, we do the same thing to the printer down below, empty it out. I want to get the laptop ready for shipment. So I use my shipping strap and I fold it through. Make sure it's not going over the hub, just to the right of the hub, just so it doesn't damage the hub. Pull a little bit taut, lock it in place, and we're good to go. Now all we need to do is take down the lights and the camera in reverse order that we did, putting the lights into the backpack, and the camera will go into the small size bag. I can probably bring down the umbrella now. The umbrella, again, if you remember, is going to store down at the bottom right-hand corner. The camera will come off, unplug the two cables, remove the safety nut, loosen it up, and in the front, hit the release. Take the camera out of its position, and then open the battery compartment, remove it. Now my camera is ready to get put away, and then somewhere I've got my cap. I put my cap on and I store the camera away. Okay, now that I've taken the camera, put that away in the bag, the last thing I want to do is take my wire harness off, unplug it from the back of the light. And for now, I'm just going to leave it tucked over here for a moment until I'm done. And I'm going to take my super clamp and piston clip off. So all I need to do is loosen up my wing nut. Enough to get it off. I squeeze this and I just take it, straighten it out. And this gets put down at the bottom of the case. From here, we can take the light off. Again, we're going to squeeze the release clamp, and this is still hot, so I'd still wait for it to cool down. And then when this cools down, I will put my cap on for shipment, squeeze this, put it in place, and store that. I would recommend putting the back down into the case, and the camera, the back down into the camera case like this. Zip it up. When you store this case inside this cabinet, I would recommend putting these straps down below. It's more foam. Take the straps, put it here, and then take the camera case and squeeze it along the side, and then take your wiring harness and tuck it on the side somewhere, just out of the way, making sure it doesn't get crimped when you're closing the door. And then the paper trays, we just turned upside down, and we just squeeze them on top of the camera case, just like that. And then put the lid back on. Now, one thing to note is on the side, as we discussed when we opened all this, make sure that if you're using all 4 printers, then obviously you're going to have the USB cable going from this case to the other case. This door should be open anytime there's operation with printers because it needs ventilation. So if I'm going to use the other case, I need to open the other case up. We're going to just turn around and take a look at the other case, which looks exactly like the case that we have over here. And here's the back of the case. And you'll see right here, there's a connector that we can bring the USB cable to. So we would take the lid off the back here, bring the cable through the side hole, plug it in, turn the power strip on, load the printer papers just like you did before, and now you'll have 4 printers available. And again, remember, leave this door open if you're using the printers because we need to have full ventilation. The back can be put on if you want, but this has got to be open no matter what. I think that's about it. Any questions? In the software, you have a button on the bottom left that says tech support. You can tap on that and give you a phone number. You can call 877-767-4686, option number 3, which is tech support. Leave a message, and 15 minutes later, or within 15 minutes, we usually call you back. You must leave a phone number where we can get to you. We have full remote access to this computer, so if you've got it turned on and the Verizon modem's working, we should be able to get into the system to help you. Have a good day.